Cobra!
Hey, hey! Welcome to Half the Battle!
As promised, after the top 7 best sub-teams in G.I.Joe, we're now gonna look at the top 7 worst. Now, from reading the comments on the best list, I got the sense several of you were rather worried about this one.
Let me alleviate your fears.
Tiger Force and Slaughter's Marauders are not on this list.
So you can all unclench your buttocks.
They also weren't on the best list because I consider them to be just okay. Not bad, not great.
And before we get to the list proper, there's one honorable mention.
Namely Cobra La. I honestly don't know where the hell they'd fit in. They're not a sub-team unless you go strictly by the toy packaging, and they weren't really a faction since they became the leaders of Cobra.
For one movie. Well, for the last half of one movie.
So I'm just putting them here as a dishonorable mention, since their terribleness must be acknowledged.
Anyway, on to the list.
Number 7. Sonic Fighters. I'm lumping everything Sonic from the original line in here. Sonic Fighters, Supersonic Fighters, and the Talking Battle Commanders. And okay, technically this isn't a sub-team either, but the dreadful gimmick deserves mention here. Huge backpacks that are a hernia nightmare, questionable color choices, and for the talkers, backpacks that you couldn't remove without the help of tools.
It's just a giant ball of ridiculousness.
Number 6. Star Brigade.
Okay, let me first say I have no problem with the Joes having space toys.
The Crusader was nice, and the Defiant was freaking awesome!
And I don't have a problem with G.I.Joe stories in space either.
Hell, I said just last week that Flash's finest moment was probably when he was in outer space.
But you know what those things have in common?
They were grounded in reality. It was all fairly realistic. Well, maybe not for a small military unit to have their own space shuttle, never mind two, but they also had their own aircraft carrier, and nobody complains about that, so... Star Brigade, however, was completely taking the piss and threw out realism like it was a used diaper. From spacesuits, well, quote-unquote spacesuits that left their necks exposed, or, in one case, the spacesuit just being a helmet while wearing a normal casual outfit without even gloves, to battle armor that left no room for an actual human to have two arms. Star Brigade was not at home when Mr. Sanity came around knocking. It just went way too stupid, way too fast.
But do you know what guaranteed their place on this list? The vehicle they gave Cobra!
Hasbro re-released the Pogo, the frickin' Pogo, only in hideous colors. That's just unforgivable. Number 5. Dino Hunters.
Joes that hunt dinosaurs because Jurassic Park. Do I need to say anything else?
Yeah, this is the most cynical jumping on a fad for a quick cash grab Hasbro has ever pulled with G.I.Joe. Dinosaurs became hugely popular, so let's jump on that bandwagon and or gravy train.
Gravy wagon?
It doesn't help that the figures were terrible recolors of previously released ones with no original character to be seen, unless you count the dinosaur.
He's called Gary.
Even the Jeep is a bad recolor, so they deserve to be on this list.
Oh, and spoiler warning, this won't be the last time I talk about Hasbro jumping on a fad today.
Number 4. Mega Marines.
If you ever wondered what it would be like if a toy company really wanted to do the Colonial Marines from Aliens, but then royally screwed it up, then I give you Hasbro and the Mega Marines.
I don't mind Cobra creating monsters, really, or the Joes having a special unit to deal with them. But in these frickin' colors, there's eyesores, and then there's eyes spontaneously start to bleed, then melt sores. And yes, the colors are the main problem. Both the Gung-Ho mold and the Mirage one look good in different colors, as both the convention exclusive figure and a retail figure proved later on. But the colors aren't the only reason these guys are here, because Hasbro just had to tack on a stupid gimmick.
Come to think of it, this video could almost double as a list of Hasbro's stupidest gimmicks.
In this case, they added Play-Doh armor to the figures. Even as a kid, this was fun for about 5 minutes, only for the Play-Doh to go back in the tub and be forgotten for 20 years. Mega Marines. Good in theory, lousy in execution. Number 3. Shadow Ninjas.
What's that I hear you say? Timur didn't put all of Ninja Force on this list?
Well, no. Some of the figures were cool, and they didn't go too crazy with the colors. Mostly. Even the gimmick, real martial arts moves weren't too obnoxious, so Ninja Force isn't on either list. With Shadow Ninjas, however, they doubled the gimmicks. They gave them sorta but not really translucent plastic that changed color in hot water. They look absolutely hideous. Way to ruin an, okay thing, Hasbro. Number 2. Lunartic's Aliens.
Okay, I might be slightly cheating here.
Since these are technically under the Star Brigade brand, and they're not really a sub-team or a faction, but screw it. I already lost Cobra-La, I'm not losing these weirdos. They're aliens. In G.I.Joe. Frickin' aliens. It's funny that I was talking about the original Joe team just last week. Imagine them standing there all military-like when this mutant giraffe mofo shows up. Times sure had frickin' changed by 1994. By the way, I'm also including the Manimals in this since in the unproduced 1995 line, they were part of the Lunartics Empire.
You know, that name still bothers me.
It's a play on the word lunatic, sure, but the word is derived from luna, i.e. the Latin word for moon. If the aliens call themselves that, does that mean they once spoke Latin?
Wow, now I'm getting too pedantic even for me.
Anyway, like I said, they're aliens in G.I. Joe. That's why they're on the list. Also because one of them looks like this, and quite frankly, that's a capital offense in the court of good taste. And the number 1 worst sub-team in G.I. Joe is, absolutely unsurprisingly, the Eco Warriors.
Seriously, is there anybody who didn't see this coming?
Now, on the surface, there doesn't look to be too much difference between this and the Mega Marines. Both had awful neon colors, both had a stupid gimmick, water that changed the color of the plastic in the Eco Warriors case, and both used a mix of new and existing characters.
But there are some things that make the Eco Warriors worse for me.
First, while the Mega Marines may have taken inspiration from the Colonial Marines, they weren't jumping on a fad. With the Eco Warriors, oh boy, they couldn't jump on the Captain Planet bandwagon fast enough. Plus, the idea of selling non-biodegradable plastic toys with an environmental message is the height of hypocrisy.
Second, which is both more important and more personal,
they took one of my favorite vehicles ever, the His Tank, killed it and mutilated its body to produce the frickin' septic tank, the vehicle I hate the most out of the entire line.
By the way, Steve, thanks again for sending me this one. I just hope that one day we'll be able to meet in person so that I can properly show you the level of my gratitude.
So, for the septic tank, hypocritically jumping on a bandwagon and using color schemes that would make Helen Keller take notice and vomit, I've placed the Eco Warriors at the number 1 spot of my worst sub-teams list. You wear that badge of dishonor with pride.
Well, I'll see you next time, everybody. And hey, why not like, share, and subscribe if that's your thing?
Cobra!
You know, Cobra-La was actually on the list proper, but like in the middle of doing it, I remembered Dino Hunters exist. Yeah, I had completely forgotten about them, but they deserved a spot.